Right, lads and lassies, welcome back to the Keep the Head podcast. We're going to be discussing the weekly roundup for the football over the weekend and what we thought about it and what the crack is with signings, managers, and maybe a few sackings in between. So, what
Few
match do
seconds.
a few, you never know, hey, there could be. You don't know. So, what do we want to start with? We have a few matches there now. So we did.
Sure, I don't know. The one that's most recent in our heads is probably the Tottenham one. So, if you want to start off with your thoughts on that one,
There could be a second. So, me personally, I think Postecoglou's time might be up. I think he's a bit too stubborn when it comes to. I do understand trying to distill a way or trying to instill, sorry, a way of playing and a style of play into the team. Obviously, they didn't really have one to begin with this high line and fucking wing backs and all this shy. But sometimes you have to kind of just bite the bullet and switch on the fly. You know, mid match, if it's not working with this high line, you don't keep doing it until you get bummed 5 or 6 nil, which they did, and they went 3-0 down to Everton. So,
just throwing in the word bum there into the podcast. Yeah, fair play.
well, we're cursed and everything, so we might as well, sure.
Yeah, no, yeah, good lad.
Well, we cursed in the last 3 or 4 as well.
Fuck it. Go on.
Fuck it, we move.
We
Uh,
ball.
we ball. So, what do you think anyway? Me personally, I think it might be Postecoglou's time to go.
Yeah, but like, who are they gonna get in? There's like no one's gonna take the
There
job.
was leaks and also um online talks about the former Dortmund manager name again. Uh, keep talking there.
So I think the main problem with Tottenham is, again, as you were saying, he did instill this new way of playing, this like high line and that kind of high press style of football.
Mm.
Kind of like, as they were calling like Klopp's time at Liverpool, this kind of like heavy metal, I think they were calling it, like rock and roll kind of football,
Yeah,
just all gung ho.
Mm.
And they conceded a lot, but they usually outscored. But the biggest criticism this year is, even like, it's not a, it can work, it can be entertaining, but I just don't see you being really successful over a long period of time playing like that.
no,
And it gets even worse like this year when he continues to play that way, but the injuries, like whether that style is even causing the injuries, but regardless, he's got a ton of injuries and he's still playing this very. Um, they're not in control of many of the games.
no.
You know, they can score some great
Mm.
goals and they can concede some absolute clangers. And then the amount of injuries, like they're playing an 18-year-old midfielder as a centre back in
Yeah,
a North London derby. And it's like, I do understand that. And then also, the other point is, of course, people love to say, oh, he's doing terrible, sack him, as if to say that's the only problem at the club.
yeah,
It's like, a great example is, not going to go on to know, but like Amram there. Amram, we know he's a good coach from Sporting and that. He's an inexperienced coach. He's a good coach though. But people 10 Hag out, slap the table, get the push the big red button. And sometimes people just want this instant whip. The best thing for the season might have actually been to keep Ten Hag to get you
um,
over, to get you through the season. Because what you've now done is throw in Amram into this team that's already completely dysfunctional. They're trying to offload their key star signings like Anthony and that he brought in. And I'm not saying he's a good manager; he's great for it, but just in terms of stability for the season, they've probably gotten worse now under Amram. Not his fault. He's trying to, you know,
trying to completely do a
he's
180 in the way they play.
he's trying to change something up. I'm just using that as an example of like it's going to be the same thing. Like no matter, you could say whatever. Say Pep is not managing City, and you're going right. Pep's free. He wants the Tottenham job. You put in whatever Tottenham play next in the Premier League. You take out Postecoglou, you throw in Pep. What's he going to do?
Yeah,
The squad is, it's really on its bare bones. They look completely out of ideas. He's like, right, lads, we play this slow kind of build up possession based football, and the team is crap. Like
Yeah.
it's what can he do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people love to just have this thing of this isn't working, get rid of it, change it. I know a lot of people because I'm following some of the sports content. They're saying maybe the best thing to do is to keep Ange, not because he's the best manager, but because they're so sick of sacking managers and not getting to the root cause, which they think is the owner.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
But
to,
it's a
again, we go
difficult one.
over, I mentioned it before we started this, about they keep calling out the owner for like not backing the manager or not doing whatever. But in the last, say, 2 to 3 transfer windows before Postecoglou was there, but Postecoglou has spent about 500 million, I think, altogether, pounds or
It's not
euros.
spent well though.
No, it's not spent well, but
That's what
they-
it's
they're
all
they're
about. Like
calling out Levy for not backing things like that, but it's the names that are being brought to him. I think it has to be. I think it needs to look a bit deeper to maybe the scouting department, whether or not the manager has much. Obviously, the manager has a say in that, but they're scouting for bargain bin. I'm not being mean, but they're scouting in the bargain bin. But they're supposed to be a top 6 club, and supposedly a top 6 club, but they haven't won a trophy in I don't know how many years now. Even competed in a final. The last final they were in was against Liverpool, and I think in 2019 in the Champions League final. And Levy rewarded them again. That's why he's criticised, but he rewarded them with a watch, a gold watch each, saying Champions League finalists. Just like, fair enough, he can be criticised for that, but he has spent money when he had to. But the names that are being brought to him, I think, are just they're not going to win you a league. Archie Gray and Bergval, players like that are 18 years of age, are not starters. They're players for the future, which is fine. But you buy players for the future when you have your starting 11, and they don't even have a
Mm.
starting 11. Bergval and Archie Gray, they actually walk into the Tottenham team at the age of 18 because their midfield is non-existent. The back line, again, is they're playing Archie Gray, who is a midfielder, as a centre back. He's done an exceptional job. Again, it's not his job to do, and he's been one of their standout players of the year because he was a centre back, which doesn't make any fucking sense, but he was. And then Bergval did very well against, or in general, he's been playing very, very well, getting goals and assists. He scored against obviously Liverpool in the first leg of the Carabao Cup, and did well in that match as well. Great movement. But these shouldn't be your starting players. They're players for the future. But they were bought because lads, we're really short here. We're short on manpower. We need whoever we buy is basically going to have to go straight onto the bench or straight onto the pitch, and the starting 11 isn't ready.
I don't know. Just the business they're doing is. I mean, we've seen teams, again like Brighton and things like that. Like you can spend a lot less and get a lot more.
Mm.
They just seem to be so scattergun approach. I don't think they've got any idea really of who to bring in, what style of play they want. And that sort of thing. When you keep changing managers, like your team formation or whatever could change, and you're always like, oh well, we bought this guy, but he's not suiting this. He was for say Postecoglou, then we've sacked him, so we get rid of that player, bring in a different player for this next manager, and it just becomes this, just chasing your own tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the annoying thing, what it is, like they played. It was Liverpool, wasn't it? They
Yeah.
beat Liverpool, and they beat Liverpool straight up in that match, and you're like, why can this performance happen? Now I understand, like everyone was like, it'll be the most Tottenham thing ever to beat Liverpool and then to go out against Tamworth, which nearly happened.
Yeah.
They were absolutely shocking against Tamworth, but there was no rotation either. For whatever it's worth, you still should have beat Tamworth. 10-0 for God's sake.
Yeah.
But Tamworth actually had a massive opportunity to win the match in the 90 minutes, and I think that would have been a massive embarrassment. Like, I don't know if he could have recovered from that. Everything else, he always has these little asterisks of going, oh, well, I've got an injury. Oh, well, this wasn't here. Oh, well, that. And it's like, well, you get beaten by Tamworth. It's like, no, man.
Yeah.
Which nearly happened. And he played the same team again in the North London Derby. And he played tried to play the same team again. Like, now Slanky's out for a couple of weeks with a knee injury.
Mm.
They're not buying reinforcements for these players. I think
No.
Postecoglou said a few weeks ago he needs another striker
Like,
so he can rest Solanke and switch him. I know he's been injured, so
but we say that. Not sorry to interrupt you. You were saying there we're not going to buy a striker and he's backing his players. He said the same thing about a goalkeeper, and yet 2 weeks into the transfer market, he went out and bought the young, I think he's 19-year-old goalkeeper Kinski, and he said not buying any goalkeepers. We're backing our team. And to be fair, the third choice goalkeeper, his name is blanking me now.
Austin.
Austin, yeah, he had a good performance in the matches he played. Again, he's a goalkeeper is the last defender. There's nothing he can do if the defense in front of him lets the ball go through. He's the last defender. There's only so much a goalkeeper can do in situations like that. And he put in a great performance for the one match he did get to play in the Premier League. But
I
straight
mean,
away the next game week, they bought a young goalkeeper in Kinski and slotted him straight in. Didn't give him any. I think he had a day to train, and he went straight into the cup match against Tamworth. Like,
it's just
holy shit!
the, the signs they're making and the moves they're doing. Like a good example is like Timo Werner.
Yeah,
They Timo Werner on loan. They seen him, and like I mean, no one was like everyone knows Timo Werner.
yeah,
Tottenham fans would know him well, of course, because he played for Chelsea, and they used to love everyone loved to take the piss out of him. Then still won in Champions League. I do not know how.
yeah.
So he got him on loan. He wasn't great, and then he took him on loan again,
That
and
was
that really sums up the level of ambition from the club. Now this is just something. Whatever way the move panned out, Chelsea last summer completely without. I don't know how no news broke. Like without any sort of build up, signed Pedro Neto out of the blue.
mm,
But you can kind of see I think he's got a very good level. But to do a signing like that, if Tottenham got that signing, I feel like that would be an enormous marquee signing for them.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the difference in ambition. Or even like City are now in a bit of a bad patch. And what do? They go out and buy like 4 players. Whether you like it or not, but it's that ambition going, right, who do we know? Marmoush, right? Get him, or get this, or get that. They have the money,
mm,
but they're constantly just trying to keep. It feels like they're just trying to keep the head above the water. They're not trying to like go. We don't want to just not drown. We want to like swim. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like we want to like
Mm.
actually go forward. We want to like this is going to sound silly, but I always like I get frustrated watching them because I watch people like expressions and even D1 like Abby on the DR Sports and that, so I can see their point of view. And I'm like, I can see they joke about it, but I can see how upset they are underneath it all because their team is just so bad and it's going backwards still.
yeah.
Like Tottenham for the last nearly 10 years now. When I think 2016 was it something like that or 18 was the Champions League final?
2019. Yeah,
No, I think well, I don't know, but they've just constantly gone backwards still. Like that was a peak. That was like, oh, we could win something here. We could get something out of this. Got nothing. And now they just fallen way back. Now they're looking at a relegation battle.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think it's the weirdest, like a funny piece of irony would be Levy getting this new stadium worth billions and having these superstars every week. But your main source of income, the reason that stadium was really built, that team now has got relegated. Like that would be a really kind of weird like sense of irony playing championship football in $1 billion stadium to show like where exactly his head is because it's not fully in football. I don't think
No,
it's not fully in football. That man does not want to win as much as other teams. I don't think he's doing what he can, but I don't know. Like he
um,
did do small things, just like he did like bring in managers with with winning mentalities.
yeah,
That's the only like he did kind of do that, but there's such a defeatist mentality in the club that it didn't work. It actually went against the winning mentality because it was already pre-instilled.
yeah.
when you bring in like a Mourinho into that club and he's like, do everything in your power to win, do like everything. It's all about winning. You will win, and they're going, oh, I don't know, but that like that's a bit much, like, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you mean to do that all the time? Like, you have to keep, and he's like, yeah, like you shouldn't be asking me. You should be asking me for more. We should be going, like, doing whatever. Like all the teams he talked about. I remember even listening to him with it when was coaching Chelsea, and listening to the leaders of that team talking, and it was like that's how you win things. Any great team does that, and then listen to the Tottenham players talk about Mourinho, and then about Conte, and it's like they just don't have it, man. I don't know how else to describe it, but the only way, in my opinion, to fix that club is to do a good old fashioned rebuild. The same way you got a new stadium, sell every single person in that club. Everybody. When Son is done, he's already done, in my opinion. Get rid of the whole first team, then the manager, then the coaches, and the medical staff, and anybody who's got anything to even touch the old Tottenham, get rid, and then just start building brick by brick.
Yeah.
And anybody who has that loser mentality, get out the door. I don't care who you are, out you go. And that's the only way you'll build a kingdom, say, or a team that's worth competing for trophies. Because it's not enough. It's
No,
just not enough.
not
You
worth
bring a young lad into these teams. Wait, you see Bergval and that in 5 years' time. They'll just adapt to this Tottenham mentality. It's defeatist attitude, I think.
it. Yeah.
It's good. Like,
Just to go back to what I was saying about the manager link, it with the former Borussia Dortmund manager Edin Terzic,
mm,
which again, look, we've kind of just went over the whole talking point of not just a new manager. It's basically you need a new club. You need to rinse the whole thing and
yeah, in my
rebuild,
opinion.
restart.
Again, like he did well at Dortmund. He did very well.
Yeah.
Again, in my opinion, when you have Conte as a serial winner, Mourinho is a serial winner, if they don't win, I draw the line of just constantly getting new managers. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's where I'm just like, oh, new manager in. It's like, so what? At this point, it's a mentality thing that needs to change. If they couldn't get a tune out of them, I've given up with Tottenham.
Yeah.
I've given up with them. Once they even Conte, I remember his last thing was him basically saying like scorched earth, you know, basically what Tottenham are. As soon as it gets difficult, they don't want to play. Like this is what Conte said. He's seen the players and everything else, and I know Tottenham fans didn't like him, but like I think he demanded them to win, and they just basically said no. We don't like that. We'll again, they can beat Liverpool and nearly get beaten by Tamworth.
Yeah.
They'll play when they want. It's this whole thing, but obviously no team can do that. But that's just how I feel about Tottenham at the moment.
And from there, I suppose we'll go on to another of the most recent matches, which was Man United at home to Brighton, and the Seagulls, in a nice way, absolutely spanked them. They beat them 3-1. United, the only goal they got was from a penalty won by Joshua Zirkzee, put away by Bruno. And after that, it was the Brighton show. That was to make it 1-1, and then they went 2-1 down, but you could still see a bit of fight. That they could get a 2-2 here, maybe come back and win it 3-2. But then, horrible mistake by Onana. Tried to dive on the ball, and he blocked it with his elbow. And Jorginho for Brighton hook it around the keeper and slotted it home through 6 legs. And that was kind of the nail in the coffin for that match. Just the heads dropped. Everyone was like, "Wow, just what are we meant to do here now?" It was it was an uphill battle at 2-1 down, but at 3-1 down, you're climbing Everest in a pair of shorts. It's not happening.
Yeah.
There's fucking so many talking points about United. It's even hard.
Where do you start?
That is literally the problem. Where do you start? With Spurs, we kind of had an idea where to start and where to talk, but with this, it's I don't know if it's a mentality problem. Obviously, they played extremely well back to back. They drew in Anfield and could have won against Liverpool. Obviously, could have won that. Drew 2-2. Great fight, great match, good end to end. Then the next game, which was in the FA Cup against Arsenal, at the Emirates away again, another away game. They drew in extra time and went on to win it on penalties. Great saves by Bayern Dier, second choice goalkeeper for United as well. Amazing win for them, well deserved as well. Really deserved that. Then, like we were talking about Spurs, and we keep kind of linking the two teams together because of where they are in the table and performance wise. They can pull out a masterclass against a team like Liverpool, top of the leagues, all this, top of all leagues, whatever. And then Arsenal also fighting for the league in the FA Cup, knocked them out, grand. And then against Brighton at home in Old Trafford. Obviously, it was going to be a hard match, but to lose 3-1 at home against Brighton it wasn't on the cards. And it's just not a loser's mentality, but they kind of pick and choose when they're going to show up, United. And they don't have the strength off the bench. Like a lot of even Brighton's substitutions would probably start for Man United. Like you have players like off the bench, Joe Pedro and Ciso, and people like that. Even I'll be honest, even Danny Welbeck could probably do a job still. The age of him, what he's doing for Brighton, he'd probably still do a job. Um, yeah, it's hard to talk about United because they're just just all over the place at the minute. And then I think the main talking point, which we could probably start with, is I think they need to buy a new striker. Xerxes and Hoyland are too similar to each other, and they don't offer enough, which isn't their fault. But one's 20, one's 21. They're basically this. They're near enough the same player. Obviously, Xerxes has a bit more height to him, but
I think they differ a good bit though in terms of what they offer. Like Hoyland seems a bit more. He's a lot kind of quicker, a lot more mobile. He can making runs up behind. Where Xerxes seems to have like a bigger frame, kind of stronger, more physical. You know what I mean? Can hold up the ball, things like that. You know.
Well, the question I'll put to you then is, of the two, so say United tomorrow have a choice of whatever striker they're going to go for, Sesko or Osherman or Victor Gyökeres.
Yeah, yeah.
Which one do you sell between Xerxes and Hoyland?
Hoyland.
Ireland.
Yeah.
Yep.
And why would you say that?
He's not shown any improvement. I was a fan of Hoyland. I thought he was badly treated for the last couple of years. You know, and the stats were out about the incredible amount of how would you say he wasn't getting any sort of service like at all. He was getting no passes into him, and he constantly made runs and that. And I was like, maybe he's just unlucky, but I don't know. The more I think of it, it just he's a struggling striker, and I think he'd do well at a different club. The amount of pressure on him at a club like Man United for a young player, and then again, he doesn't choose his price tag. That's what the club paid for him, and he's just struggling with that. And I think it's just so much time where I'm like, you know what, I really can't see him turn this around now.
No,
just call it a day, go elsewhere, and so somewhere else. And you were mentioned different strikers' names there about going to buy them. The biggest thing with United right now, I think, and again, I don't know their financials or anything, but I don't like talking about clubs' financials, but I feel like you have to take that into account because I don't think United can turn around right now and buy £100 million striker.
No, because obviously there's links away for a lot of their homegrown talent, in like Hobby Minor and things like that. And if you
also they need to move things off the book as well. Like again, they're talking about Anthony to Betis on loan to try and free up just his wages. That's enough to try and maneuver maybe a player in or something like that. But like to try and sell him, like that's another massive loss. Again, Mount, Jesus, I'm trying to think of a few now. Like even Anthony Mount, like that's so much money tied up in these players in the books. You can't just keep. People say get rid of them, but I'm like, well, who wants them? You can't just keep making losses because on the books you need to recover them losses, or else you get,
going to be hit with point deductions and everything.
It's incredible, yeah. And then the problem with this is this terrible recruitment is you look at United right now and you're like, oh yeah, I need a rebuild, and it's like, yeah, they probably do, but I mean, it's going to be a budget rebuild.
Yeah.
Like you ain't getting an Osimhen and then £100 million midfielder and then £200 million centre backs and another £80 or 80 million
80 quid.
goalkeeper and stuff like that. It's like that's not happening.
No, that ship
You have to
sailed.
be so careful and so pinpoint and maybe sit with Amram like tell me the exact profile you need in as a wing back, an exact striker you need, and then we will get all the things we can do and the prices and whatever, and we'll find the best option for right now that can tide us over. Like maybe even some clever loans to get us through some windows through a season or so.
Mm.
But yeah, that's what's gonna I think really slow up any sort of progression Amram's gonna make.
Yeah.
It's what can you do? Like the damage is already done. The damage is already done by making all these signings. They're cooked.
Pretty much. That's kind of the icing on the cake. That's all you can really say, isn't it? Just they're fucking cooked.
Like there's so many
Yeah.
is Ericsson. I've forgot about Ericsson and then Casemiro as well. Crazy money. Um, I think Ericsson might be up, but they're trying offload unless if Saudi don't want Casemiro, I think they're screwed.
Yeah, because I don't see
Yeah.
any other team going in from.
Who wants him on the money he's on? Like the business they're doing, man. It's just
One of the main culprits is obviously Rashford.
and Rashford doing as well.
They're still trying to offload the highest paid currently at United. Sorry, second highest paid. Casemiro is the highest.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a whole kettle of fish as well, with teams coming in from Dortmund or worrying about AC Milan. But all these names that we're hearing, I think is agree with me when I say this. None of them can afford his fucking wage. He's
No.
overpriced.
No, I don't know if the likes of Real Betis not going to be paying someone like Rashford to come in. And to be honest with you, like he hasn't been great either. I
No.
think they're nearly going. We're taking a risk on him, but we'll. It's kind of like what Chelsea did with Sterling. It's like we'll have his wages, and it's like therefore, right? If we don't take him, we'd be sitting on your bench, and it's going to cost you say 12 million, or he comes along to us, and you basically get to save 6 million. But it's like it hurts a little bit less, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
still saving 6 million, and I think that's what they're trying to do. But I can't see them. What's he on? Is it 300 grand a week?
I think
Something like that, yeah.
300, yeah.
Yeah, I
With
don't see Real
bonuses.
Betis paying 300 grand a week.
No, nowhere near it. The teams like that can't afford it, and that's no disrespect to the leagues. It's always been like that.
But even with Rashford, I don't think he's like going to walk into the team and light it up either. It's like it'll take him a while to adjust, and he might score a few goals. But like he's known to go walkabouts as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. They're still suffering from their past mistakes.
Yeah.
Trying to move forward. They're still suffering from all these really ill-advised signings, and
will be for the next couple of years still, till they finally get around to pulling the band-aid off.
and this is the thing with Amram. If the same things happen next year, which it probably might, because I don't think they can reshuffle enough players, he could be sacked.
Yeah.
Because the fans will turn on him. That was my thing, was to say he is a good manager, but he's now been dealt an unbelievably tough hand. Like, what can he do in some of these matches? Like, even today, I knew they were going to lose.
Yeah.
Southampton only beat them the other day. They were playing straight through the middle of them. He's trying to, what can he do? Like, he knows he's on the right profiles. It's going to take him years to get that. But in football, fans turn on you, and then every time you lose, all these reaction channels just compile the pressure, and then you're out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of social media back that.
Yeah. He probably could be the best man for the job, but it's nearly like Tottenham. Tottenham play bad, and it's like, right, sack him, get him out, and it's like,
what does that
is
fix?
that the best thing? Doesn't matter. It makes me feel better right now, therefore get rid of him.
Yeah.
It's like that's
that's the kind of the stage we're at the minute. I suppose we'll move on then to the next, probably one of the most notable games of the weekend in title charge is Arsenal against Aston Villa. Arsenal went 2-0 up with a goal from, I think, Trossard and from Kai Havertz. Good finishes from both. But in the second half, Villa had a resurgence and Arsenal couldn't keep the lid on it. And in the end, Villa came back and could have won it, but they drew in the end 2-2 with a goal from Watkins at the very end. A fantastic goal. Matty Cash ball over the top. Fantastic goal. I What do you think?
Just
Like, it's just
just before we move on, I just seen Amram when the after the match was over in a post match interview. He came out and said, "This is a quote. Obviously, it's broken English, but this is a quote directly from Amram after losing 3-1 to Brighton. We are being the worst team, maybe in the history of Man United."
Oof.
well, he's not wrong.
That's what he come out and he said. I think he's basically he left out that part, but I think after he said we have to acknowledge this that basically we are being the worst Man United team ever.
Wow.
Can't disagree.
So when he says we have to acknowledge this, I'm assuming he's talking to the owners, the board, as if to say, look what I'm dealing with. We
Yeah.
need changes. But just to kind of
Mm.
piggyback on what we're saying and add to that, like he needs a lot of reinforcements. Whether that can be done, I don't know. But as you were saying, onto
Yeah.
the Aston Villa one.
Yeah. Yes, Arsenal, Aston Villa. Um, obviously the controversy around that match was to do with obviously Arsenal fans. They wanted it to be a goal more than they acknowledged the
I
handball
don't
from
understand.
Havertz
I
for the
don't understand
Gabriel
why there's
shot.
controversy.
It's just I don't know. A lot of Arsenal fans were trying to um make
But
the
like I
point of
can't.
hand to ball and ball to hand and all that
No,
shit.
I think the main argument is they only looked at one angle
Yeah,
from basically it's not the side on angle where you can clearly see it strike his hand. They keep looking at an angle from behind the player who kicked the ball, and it looks like, or you can't see it clearly, but they keep on going. See, it only hits Havertz's stomach. You see, it's only this, and then you see the other angles like it clearly hits his hand, and it goes into
Yeah.
play. So, but look, there's a lot of stuff like that with Arsenal fans. They're kind of they're blaming refs and blaming different things, and I think they're starting to suffer from it because they're not taking enough accountability.
no,
I see a lot of Arsenal fans now starting to, understand that the team is struggling. You know what I mean? Their attack now is really suffering. Saying that they get 2 goals though. Once you get the 2 goals, I was like, okay, fair enough. But then I don't know what happened. They just
dried up after
Aston
that.
Aston Villa pushed themselves back into the game. Arsenal led them into the game. I don't know.
Kind of a mix of both.
Yeah.
Arsenal's kind of sat back a little bit after staying in like fifth gear for a bit. They got their 2 goals,
Hmm.
started to drop back a bit, and then Villa said, "Right, we're going to take this game by the horns, and we're going to go out for it. We're going to go out. We're going to go out in style." And so they did. Got 2 goals back within the space of 8 minutes.
They need signings though. Arsenal need
Yeah.
Badly.
they need a striker. They need what was it, a winger as well? Maybe
Two
even
wingers.
2 wingers. Yeah.
Like just to go over a few of the names that are currently out. Gabriel Jesus, which is now out with a season-ending career, season-ending career, a season-ending injury, even
Well,
in an ACL tear.
yeah.
Ranieri still out for another 2 or 3 weeks with a hamstring strain. Saka is the same thing with a pulled hamstring. He could be out for the season. Talks he might be back in April in training, things like that. Don't know.
Like from what I heard, it's a torn hamstring.
Torn. Okay.
It's the same thing that happened to Reece James, where you completely rip the hamstring. It's a where you have to. I think he's getting surgery on it, but then it's because it's torn. You always have to be careful then in the future because there's
Reoccur.
your hamstring's torn. But it's kind of like obviously the way the body works is it's like you can tear that hamstring, but then when you start walking, you could be rehabbing for ages. But then your other leg, do you know what I mean, takes on so much extra to take the pressure off your injured leg.
Yeah.
So then that can be then susceptible to injuries. He's just been totally overworked, Saka as well. Like he needed to rotate so much more. You know.
Yeah.
So even when Saka comes back, it's not solving the problem unless he buys a right winger right now we can rely on. When Saka comes back, it's like, all right, you're back. You have to play every single minute now for the rest of the season. And he's like, Jesus, that's a big ask.
I think he might do a rotation with Wanyeri now because he's seen him play. I think he'll have
Maybe.
Wanyeri and Saka. Saka for the Champions League Prem matches, and then maybe if there's an easier match or a cup match, I think he'll play Wanyeri in that position instead.
I just think, even if they fall short this year, next year, they need to obviously get a striker and that, but they need to have a lot of clever signings for squad depth.
Yeah.
because even just like to rotating cup games and things like that, like we got Tosin that on a free, signings like that,
They
just to
help.
shore up things. Even a winger or midfielder, just clever bits of business, just to rotate. That I think that's their biggest thing this year is they can't rotate
Yeah,
the whole season. And you're looking at this going, there will be injuries because like you might get away with it just at the start of the year, but then every single game and the games they're playing is ridiculous. They stay in competitions, and you're flying far away to play Champions League and everything else,
yeah.
and the same team is flying back and then playing the Sunday, and it's like you can just see
You need to rotate.
hamstrings popping and knees tweaking and ankles twisting and playing 100%. And I just, yeah, they need to rotate a lot more.
Definitely. I think another talking point surrounding Arsenal is kind of since he came back from injury is Martin Odegaard and
Mm.
kind of what he's offering to the team. Obviously, his creative presence before he was injured, and obviously all of last season, again, which ties into what we were saying about being overworked and overused. Every game he was playing, he was always creative in the midfield, uh, playing it out to the wings, even playing it straight through to Havertz, who did score goals last season. But this season, getting dispossessed a lot more. His
Mm.
passing isn't as accurate. His shots are definitely not as accurate, going into nearly row Z. Some of them. I think that's a major talking point. Also being your captain, because the head's kind of dropping a bit. With him when he does things like that, you can see him kind of infuriated with himself when he does lose the ball or whatever, because he's meant to be that main creative presence in the midfield, but it just isn't happening this year. I think that's definitely a major talking point as well.
Like one thing I'll compare him to is, I suppose, it's nearly the same as like Palmer because he's nearly playing the same role as Palmer. He's like our main creative force, key passes, all the rest of it. And even Palmer's created like a ton more key passes and creative, basically chances to score, but the team are missing them.
Yeah.
And it's the same things happening at Arsenal. Like I think Odegaard is creating a lot of chances, but they're being squandered again, stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. Like there's a lot on his shoulders, Odegaard.
Yeah.
It's coming off injury and the team's not playing well. Your main attack, like
Still doesn't look fully fit to me.
Yeah.
Not running properly.
yeah, no, no, it just doesn't. And
He's
again,
being
he's got no
forced back in.
choice but to
Yeah.
play every game.
Yeah. Which is
Um,
again, we're going back to the point we made about squad depth and
yeah, like
scouting things
I,
like that. They
I
haven't been
remember
well.
when Chelsea played Arsenal. Rice only come on, I think, late on, but he was taking injections because he broke his toe.
Yeah.
And Odegaard, I think, was his first game back. I think he'd be subbed off later on, but I'm thinking like that's a massive risk to come back and play. Like we were playing a lot better than as well,
Yeah.
but to play against Chelsea, and it's like that's a lot to ask of a player to come in and play like 100%, and you haven't played in a while. And going, I don't know, like it's a lot. It is a hell of a lot. Like surely you can rotate these teams, like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Not really a lot else to be said about Arsenal. Kind of the same thing we've been saying for the last few podcasts that we've done on Arsenal, just to do with squad depth, scouting, and kind of their main key points of what they need for next season, being
I
like a
think
striker and a winger.
that's another thing I was gonna just kind of say about like the Cole Palmer thing. Like he creates chances and that, but it's not just Cole Palmer who creates chances.
Mm.
Like our wingers now are a bit more active, crossing the ball, all the rest. But again, not goals coming in, but you're saying once the chance is being created,
Yeah.
that's kind of what you're looking at. But Arsenal again, like their wingers are not, and Saka was lifting so much weight, and it's more apparent now like how much weight he was lifting. Not only people meme him for the corners, yeah, that's one thing, but him carrying the ball, his attacking threat, and then losing that, I'm thinking they're going to drop a lot of points. I think they're going to draw a lot of matches because they just won't be able to finish teams off. You know what I mean? Or kill teams or break a team down that's sitting a low block.
Mm.
Yeah, I think they're once I knew he was injured, and then when Yeri then as well, I was like, oh no, man. Yeah, this is Liverpool's title. Down the cakewalk.
Oh, I hope you're right with that one.
I just think Arsenal drop more points from draws, not
Yeah.
losses, which is like apparent yesterday. They will drop more points from draws. Honestly, yeah, that's what I just think. Um, it should, yeah. I don't think they done enough last summer. That's what I think. What happened? Not enough kind of reinforcements. Again, a top striker. You know, the thing I don't understand is the key profile in Havertz is he a striker? Is he not? Well, he's not a striker. Okay, well, then get a striker.
Yeah, simple as.
And
You've
now you
answered
need
your
two
question.
strikers. Now you need two strikers.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? This is where it comes into spending money in squad building. If Havertz is not a striker, then technically you have no strikers.
yeah,
Yeah.
Then you need two strikers. You need a guy to win you the Premier League, and then you need someone to rotate him with. So, do you know what I mean? Squad building is crazy, man. Like, who did you get last summer? Marino and somebody else.
Alafiori,
Yeah,
centre back and a
two.
and defensive midfielder.
Yeah, and they needed a striker and basically like they could have got Duran last summer for like 40 million.
Yeah,
Like scouting like that, like, they could have done these deals, and yeah. So yeah, I think they need to again sign more players and be clever about it.
yeah. Then I suppose we'll move on to the last two matches in the Premier League that we'll talk about. Touch on them quickly. Suppose we're talking about the title race. Liverpool beat Brentford 2-0 in actually a very good match to the neutral, end to end stuff. Darwin Núñez, very heavily criticised, obviously, by Liverpool fans and other fans throughout this season for not scoring, not playing a big enough part for what we spent on him and what he's doing. But he scores when it matters, and got us 2 goals, won us that match in the 95th minute. So I have to tip my hat to him. Fair play to him. I think one of the main talking points of that match would be to do with the obviously the officiating in, touched on it before, the linesman putting up the offside flag too quick, and so throughout that match, Mbuemo was in twice. It happened twice, where he was in against the goal against Allison, and the linesman raised the flag for an offside and it was blew up. Grand. Obviously, VAR can't overturn that. So because he put up the flag, it's just marked down as offside. Simple as, no ifs, ands, or buts. But when it was reviewed and looked back on the, we seen it even just straight away from the camera, he was onside by at least a foot. So just to mention with that with that match, and I hope for the rest of the season, stop putting your flag up too early. If you can't tell if it's offside guaranteed, don't put it up. If the goal goes in or goes wide, then he's offside. Doesn't matter. We will review that afterwards. That's what
I do
VAR is
understand that,
for.
but I mean, they're already briefed. They're already
Yeah,
briefed. They know the crack. Not supposed to do it, but I mean, the officials this year are pretty much finished me with football. I don't care anymore. These people know exactly what they're doing. They're briefed, but they just can't do the job. So I mean, I'm not like, if we're talking about refs every week, like you'd literally spend a half an hour.
yeah,
If you talked about terrible refereeing in every single game, you would spend the entire podcast talking about that. And this is just coming from just the Chelsea matches I've seen. I don't. We're playing tomorrow night. This is done on a Sunday. We're playing tomorrow. We'll get screwed by at least one big decision. I've already prepared myself for that. It could be a penalty. It could be a red card. It could be whatever. I don't care anymore. We just have to try and outscore both them and the referee. That's how it feels like. And I'm saying that before it happens, so it's not like a victim thing. It's just like, just go on past it. Everyone gets screwed with the refs. It's just, it is what it is. This
Yeah.
year it's been absolutely, I mean,
diabolical.
I didn't watch it, but apparently Anthony Taylor in the Forest game against Southampton was absolutely shocking. Yeah, Southampton should have man sent off. I've seen the whole match thread of everyone saying Anthony Taylor's absolutely shocking, and I'm like, well, yeah, you know,
I
he
think
doesn't
Anthony
like
Taylor
Chelsea
is
particularly,
one of the
but he
worst
is
referees.
shocking. Yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on it quick because there wasn't many other talking points in that match, bar how long it took us to score. But Nunes
I
sorted
don't
that.
think I don't think many people even talk about refs anymore. I feel like it's just like,
They
oh,
try
they're
not to.
terrible.
Well, like
They,
honestly,
Excuse me.
you could make several podcast episodes about just refs in general. That's how bad they are as
That's
of
why it
recent.
gets
Yeah.
boring. People don't want to keep hearing about referees.
Oh
As much
God,
Yeah.
no,
as
no.
much as
Oh,
it's a
no.
major fact. Like we listen to football or we watch podcasts or whatever. So we watch content surrounding football or whatever sport you're into. We don't want to hear the bad stuff. We want to hear, having a bit of fun or whatever, the sportsmanship or whatever. People don't want to hear
Like,
depression. They get away. They try to listen to podcasts or YouTube or content to get away from all that. So
well, it's the way like refs do it. Like when you go to watch rugby, Ireland are going to play New Zealand. When did you say, "Oh yeah, but who's reffing it though"?
yeah,
Why would you do that?
you never even know
Someone's
the ref's
playing
name.
so and so in the tennis. Oh, I'm not. Who's the umpire? Who knows? Like
Who
he's
cares?
just the guy. He just enforces the rules.
Yeah,
In football, that will literally change the course of a match.
yeah,
Oh, well, it's going to be done this way. That's you shouldn't. I don't understand. Oh, Anthony Joshua's fighting Tyson Fury. Yeah, but who's reffing it? You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like no,
Never
some
matters.
boxing referees are actually bad, but in most sports, you go to see the event taking place, and
Mm.
you just want them to enforce the rules. Simple as like even when I watch Chelsea play, if we lose, grand. I just want to know why we lost. Someone's out of place, not by rules not being enforced properly. Like because you don't take anything from that, you just feel cheated by.
Yeah,
But it's like now the refs aren't following protocol. The players are hitting the deck every 2 seconds, falling, flailing around, jump. It's like, man, I can't watch it. I find this year extremely difficult to watch football. It feels like everything is just coming, just way too much, and I'm not even thinking about the games after it's finished.
yeah.
I'm just thinking about how annoyed I was at people diving, play acting, trying to get yellow cards, VR messing up, getting off. So I just like, oh man, I just want to watch a game of football and then go about my day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you lose, grand. You know what I mean? Everyone loses. You can fix it and bad games, all the rest of it, but you can't fix being screwed with a ref. And you go to criticize and say, I don't know if that should have happened. Oh well, you can't talk about me, therefore 25 grand fine. Like that's madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll try not to talk about refs too much in the podcast, but obviously if there's like a major final and there's a bad call, obviously we'll talk about it then. But other than that, try not to
Like
talk about them.
just finishing up on it this year, I feel like a lot of people have nearly become more accepting of the bad refs.
Yeah.
Because I don't like I think because I've said it a few times, user aware that Chelsea versus Bournemouth the first time broke the Premier League record for the most yellow cards in a match.
Yeah. This season.
That happened this season. No one even talked about it. Nothing. And I'm going, how's people are shouting this from the rooftops? Because it was a match that was so mid, nothing happened.
Yeah.
But every single thing that happened, he kept throwing out yellow cards. I think it was like 15 or 16 yellow cards to give out.
Yeah.
And even players were going, I don't know what's going on. It was like he completely lost the plot on the pitch. And after like nobody said anything, it wasn't on ref watch, nothing like that. I was thinking, oh, people are just so used to this now. It's like, oh
Just
yeah,
become
did you
accepting of it.
all football podcasts, all everything? You think it'd be a big thing going, wow, did you see that Chelsea game? It broke the record for the most ever Premier League yellow cards. No one gave a shit. And he completely lost the plot dishing out yellows. It cost us another, I think it was 50 grand because we got fined. Do you know what I mean? Because of
Yeah.
all the yellow cards, and you're going,
Mhm.
how are the refs getting away with it, man? You even go to say that ref is out of control. Oh wow, another 25 grand fine. And you're going, bro, this is costing us the guts of 100 grand to do what, like? But
Question the call, basically.
it's just how it's gone. I think people are just so accepting of it now. I think that's the crack. They're so bad. It's so every week. People are like, do you know what? You just deal with it and move on.
Yeah.
Try and
Just
look
don't even
past it.
complain about it. Just fucking
Yeah.
try our best.
And the
It's just
last
so unfortunate.
It is. It ruins a lot of games. It really does. Sometimes you just want to see two great teams playing football, and the play acting, I think they need to sort that out as well. It's getting way too much. Start booking people. Let's stop this nonsense. You know what I mean? I was the one today. Onana stepped on your man's piggy, and your man did like three jumps, and he's ended up in the back of the net, and he's down for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It's enough's enough. Like seriously, someone has to step in. Like you're a grown man. You're a grown man. If a cinder block was bounced off your foot, you wouldn't be that dramatic. Like I'm sorry, but why do they treat these people like children? I just don't understand it. Walk over and say, "Get up."
Yeah.
Even if he did stand on your foot, which are just like he's looking at it, say, "Get up," and here's a yellow for going down. nonsense, man. It's just this season, oh, man. I just can't take it anymore. It's doing me tits in.
And the last Premier League match, which we'll talk about, because we do have one more match that I want to talk about after that. Will involve you, Ryan. So there you go. Get your pants on. So the last talking point for the last match that we're going to talk about for this weekend was Newcastle Bournemouth match, which was a massive upset for Newcastle.
No, yeah.
It was 5 or 6 wins on the bounce, in both Cup and Premier League, and Isak scoring literally scoring 7 goals in the last 7 matches. Literally a goal a game, if not an assist. And it was just so surprising because it went, I think it was 1-0 to Bournemouth at first. Okay, early goal, it can happen. The head's not in the game just yet. Newcastle equalise. Okay, right, Newcastle are going to come back into this, probably win 2-1, 3-1. That will bang a goal, or Gordon will do something. But then Bournemouth just flipped the switch, and just goal after goal and attack after attack. They looked like a prime Barcelona playing. They were fantastic. Justin Kluivert with a hat trick. Fair play to him. I think it's his first one in the Premier League, from as far as I'm aware. Amazing. And then just to end it all in the 96th minute, Kirkes runs down the wing and says, "I'm fucking blasting this." Sticks at top bins. He's a left back, like, so fair play to him. Just trying to get one of them nearly, not every week, but every once in a while you get like a shock, not a shock horror, but a shock result. Like, geez, I didn't see that coming this weekend. Like, nobody had Bournemouth, or a lot of people had Bournemouth maybe beating Newcastle, but nobody thought it was going to be a squash match where they absolutely decimate them off the pitch, especially Newcastle at home. Newcastle at home this season in St. James's have been nearly like a fortress, have been absolutely exceptional. But that was a massive upset, I have to say, for Newcastle. Their run and trying to get back in the top 4 in the Champions League. Massive result there. Not a whole heap to talk about in that match. It was just a good game of football, end to end stuff, and Bournemouth came out on top, beat them 4-1. So not a whole heap to talk about in that one. But the match I do want to get on to is Barcelona Real Madrid match, the final, the top of the Spania, isn't it?
Yeah, Spanish Cup.
Yeah, Spanish Cup.
Translation.
Thanks.
Copa de Spanish.
Cup of the Spanish Cup. Oh.
Espanol, yes. Which ended 5-2 to Barcelona. Ryan, obviously Ryan being our Real Madrid fan, me and Rob can't talk too much about this one, but the floor is yours.
Where do we start?
The floor is yours, home skin.
The only thing I can say is the first 5 minutes were somewhat decent. After that, it just went tits up.
The first 5 minutes were good because Mbappe scored in the 5th minute.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all. It was good.
That's it. After that, dreadful defending, just outclassed in every position, really. Even transitional play in midfield, just getting ran through.
Sorry, and Lamine Yamal has to be fucking studied under a microscope, man. The fucker's just turning 18 and banging goals and assists for his country. He's carrying Barcelona. Like, Jesus Christ, man, he has to be studied. But yeah, it was a piss poor performance from Real Madrid in all fairness, areas of the pitch.
They do. Okay, but Real do have quite a long injury list, but it is in no way, shape, or form an excuse. There is no way that they can fucking go out and call that that they put everything on the line.
Like, I'm just looking at your missing players, and it's only 2 that actually start in Militao and Carvajal. That, like, again, your bench is not that bad, and your starting 11 should be good enough, and are good enough to not be bummed. Again, I bring up the word bummed. 5-2 off the pitch in a final.
I think it stems a lot more from the midfield, because our midfield look fucking just disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful.
Camavinga and Valverde are good, but the problem was they just play. It is one of the worst performances I've ever seen for Real Madrid.
Yeah, like they look like fucking. They're just getting ran through the whole time. They didn't care really that they were running through them.
Yeah. And then again, one of the best players currently in the world, in my opinion, in Rafinha, had an absolute field day. I think he got 2 goals and an assist.
Yeah.
He had an absolute field day. For me personally, he is one of the best players currently in the world. Like for what he's doing for Barcelona, they might not be winning every match, but he puts his heart and soul into every match. Tries to put in 10 out of 10 performances every match, even if he can't, but tries his heart out. So fair play to him in that match. Congratulations to Barcelona with that win. It was amazing win for them and just
I made it
absolute
look
goal
easy.
fest. They did make it look very easy. You wouldn't have thought that was a final. You would have thought that was
No.
a pre-season friendly, the way they played. Not good whatsoever. Yeah, we're coming up now to the end of the podcast. So, is there any other talking points you want to chat about, or anything that happened the weekend?
One thing that I think is interesting this year, and it's kind of like encapsulating everything we're talking about. And
Mhm.
again, I was saying Chelsea are playing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Chelsea have run on a bad run for the last before Christmas, and it's crazy what everyone feels is doom and gloom when you see all these. But this year, honestly, anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah, it's a very open season.
Like you see Bournemouth playing, Newcastle on a 5-game win, and then Bournemouth went there and then brushed them aside.
Yeah.
And it's funny now because the reason I'm bringing it up is because I see the Chelsea performance against Bournemouth was a lot of people were criticising them. We just played them last week, and even like Nicholas Jackson was getting slated for that. He missed, it wasn't great. And then because everyone was saying Isak, best in the world, all the rest of it, great. And then all of a sudden after that, everyone was saying, well, hold on a second, like these defenders from Bournemouth, people are going, these are amazing. Nicholas Jackson kind of spun them or whatever, did well against them. And it's like, there's so many teams like taking points off each other. Like it's a kind of a performance that ages a lot better.
Yeah.
Like there's Arsenal on the sports thing and that we watch. Like they kind of mock each other. Did they play Bournemouth again? How many times have they played Bournemouth?
I think they played them once.
Once. Because I'm telling you, like that's a tough team.
They played them once and they actually beat them in their ground,
Yeah.
in the Bournemouth ground. I don't know what.
Honest to God, like you see teams with that, and then this year it's so crazy because again we had a bit of a skid there in terms of points. Again, our aim's only top 4. We beat Wolves, big if. We just go back into where we just were, back into I think 3rd place. So it's like there's no panic. Like everyone is just this season, it's just all up in the air. Again, we lose and we're fucked. But it's just
hard to predict every week.
Someone like Nottingham Forest could win the league.
Yeah.
Genuinely, like it's just that crazy. All these things on run-ins, all these there is a hand, fixtures is like, no, it's not. You can go to Ipswich on a bad day and they could beat you. We know.
Yeah.
Or else City go there tonight and I think they bet them 6-0.
Yeah.
It's just one of them things how you show up if you're tired, not feeling it, and then they show up and they're going, we need to win this game. We're playing Wolves, well hopefully they're shit. Because you know what I mean? Like they need points, but how well Brighton are playing, how well Bournemouth are playing, how well Newcastle are playing. It's an extremely close league, honestly. Extremely close.
With that, that's the end of the weekly roundup from us. From me, Adam. From we still have to
See
get.
ya.
We still haven't got that fucking down. Anyway, Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Jesus Christ, you wankers. Right, keep the head, keep the faith, and keep our lit, lads. Best of luck, and on to the next one. Good luck.